Hi there, Telebait here, and I've got another Legends of Runeterra deck guide for you. This time, we're having a relook. Whoops. Meant to show you the deck. This time, we're having a relook at a deck which I did a couple of months ago, but there's been a few changes, specifically Legion Rearguard, so I'm updating this deck. It's a really beginner-friendly deck, which is why I really wanted to show it to you. I know a lot of new players view my channel, which is why I find it important to bring out beginner-friendly decks, nice cheap decks to craft, and easy decks to get you started in Runeterra. This is a great deck, really, really strong. And actually, it's the deck I used to climb to Master this season from about Diamond 2-ish. So it's strong all the way up the ladder and get you right from Iron to Master if you play it correctly. And for the most part, it's a very simple deck to play. You just swarm the board with your fearsome units and attack in. You rarely take trades from your opponent. You just only use your units to attack and try and level up Elise and use fearsome effects to get lots of damage through. That's about it for the deck, really. For the mulligan with this deck, you just need to look for your 1-drops. Your best 1-drops really are Legion Rearguard and Precious Pet, but I would also keep Legion Saboteur if you don't have one of the other 1-drops. And you will also want a 2-drop. Getting that 1-2 curve with this deck is so important. So Arachnoid Horror or Elise are the better ones, but House Spider is also a key. But one thing that's important to note is if you do not have a 1-drop in your hand, I would mulligan everything, even your 2-drops away. It's so important to get a 1-drop with this deck. And there's a few things, something like Stygian Onlocker, I don't consider a 1-drop in this deck, just because you want to use it as a fearsome unit, activating its Nightfall effect, which requires you to play a unit beforehand, so you can never get it out turn 1. And Imperial Demolitionist, I don't count as a 2-drop, just because it's only usable on turn 2 if you play Legion Rearguard on turn 1, so it's a bit reliant on that perfect curve. If you have Legion Rearguard in hand, you can keep Imperial Demolitionist, but in any other situation, I won't do that. One other card I always keep is Frenzy Skitterer. It's literally the powerhouse. It's the strongest card in this deck. Buffing up all your spiders, lowering the attack of your opponent, crucially lowering them from 3 attack to 2 attack, stopping them from being able to block your fearsome units. This is so important in this deck, and timing it on the correct attack turns is important. A lot of decks run units with 3 attack, so playing Frenzy Skitterer right against those decks is absolutely crucial. So that's it for the mulligan. If you find the video helpful and like the deck, please do leave a like and subscribe to see more of my Legends of Runeterra content. I release weekly videos on decks and tips to help you climb, and I've reached Master every season, so hopefully you can use the advice I give in my videos to reach the same heights as I do, or whatever rank you're targeting. That's it for the intro, so let's get on to the games. Okay, so we're up against Civil LeBlanc. This is a deck I like quite a lot, but I do think it does have a big weakness, which is to aggro, so we should be favoured. Got some good 1-drops, 2-drop, which I like. I think we will just throw away the Doom Beast. There is some consideration to throw away the House Spider, try and find a fearsome unit, but I like this team as is. I like this hand, not team. Okay, and they could have Dunekeeper as a 1-drop, so I'm going to play Precious Pet. Precious Pet will put in more damage if he does have a 1-drop. And you always play around your opponent's best drop. He doesn't have a 1-drop, so Legion Saboteur would have done more damage, but Precious Pet is guaranteed 2 damage. And here, I'm going to play House Spider. One thing important to know about these like summon effects is it works on the little House Spider here. So that is an awful trade for him, so he just won't attack. Yep. And I'm going to be playing the Legion Saboteur here. No one's the wiser. You always want to develop with this deck. Develop as much as possible before you attack. See what we see. Okay. He's got 2-1, so that trading into one of my units is pretty bad. But if we attack like this, he takes that trade, he'll take that trade, and he'll take that trade, which seems pretty bad. I don't think there's any point attacking anything at all, actually. Yeah, I'm very happy just to pass this here. The reason I'm not attacking with this one is because when I play Frenzy Skitterer, it'll get damage in. And here I'm just going to Stalk in Shadows to see what we draw. We're likely to play Noxian Fervor here. Because of that, I'm going to play Precious Pet here. I'm going to get Precious Pet so that we can play the Precious Pet after the Noxian Fervor.
For glory, face Catch me.
We're going to go for the Noxian Fervor here, like this. We're not really bothered about killing this. It's just about getting as much damage in as possible. Play the other just back. From here we're looking to get a lot of damage in using Precious Pet plus Frenzied Skitterer. So that he can't use this to block the fearsome units.
I hate having to put
So he can block with LeBlanc, but that doesn't block any. And I'm attacking with all just because these are debuffed at the moment, so this is the best trades we'll ever get against them. And like this trade is good because that's a fearsome blocker we're getting rid of.
Dissident.
And his deck runs very little healing, so we're in a very good position here. Just need a little bit more burn to kill him off.
Beneath me and
Gonna play Stalking Shadows first. It still leaves enough mana for Decimate, but depending on what we get, could be good. Doom Beast, that's the extra burn we needed, so we always draw that. And now I'm going to Decimate. Just using Decimate to be mana efficient. I could play Doom Beast then Decimate, doesn't really matter. He has Right of Negation. That's something I didn't consider. Probably should have played around. Completely forgot about that in Shurima. That could have cost me the game, to be honest.
You're mine.
Take that trade like that. That's not a fearsome blocker, so we never trade into it. Noxian Fervor, even more burn. It's great. Playing Elise here. Just to start proccing the Nightfall effect. And we'll also play Doom Beast. And we're going to attack him with all. This will get some damage through with Brother's Bond, and we can trade down the whole of his board.
Make it worth my while.
So we can do this. Yeah, his deck just really struggles against aggro. He's done pretty well, but
Places to go.
and we're just going to be looking to finish off with Doom Beast. Noxian Fervor's risky because he could have something like Bloody Business to kill one of our units, whereas this is completely safe. GG. Just a really bad matchup for his deck. So up against Elise Jinx here. This is... I have no idea what this could be, to be honest. Frenzy Skitter, you always keep Frenzy Skitter in hand really strong. You generally don't keep your cards which are reliant on other cards, so just makes it a bit too slow. But things like Noxian Fervor you don't want to keep either because it needs a card. Same with Imperial Demolitionist. And Doom Beast needs a Nightfall trigger, so you never keep that. I'm also going to throw away House Spider here to look for a 1-drop. Didn't get a 1-drop, but we got a better 2-drop, so it's not too bad. Ooh, done on counterfeit copies. Looks like his deck might be a bit too slow into that one. Play Elise here. He could have Elise of his own, but this gets 2 damage in, because Elise can't block Elise. There is a chance we could level there. Okay, that's a lot of counterfeit copies. And now we're going to look to play House Spider next turn, because that will flip Elise. And if he doesn't have an answer to that, we're probably going to win.
How can I help?
So he could still have an answer, but we try it, we force him to have the answer in hand. lots of things. Thermo Beam, Get Excited, Mystic Shots, any static, even Static Shot he has enough mana for, so lots of things to stop this, but it's still the strongest play. Southeast. Southeast. There we go. Got Frenzy Sketchers in our hand, which is going to be really strong here. So let's go drop them now. It would be nice to wait for him to develop, then drop it, but if we pass here, he should be passing back. So passing here isn't a good move. We just have to develop Frenzy Sketcher and Undying, so he can't block with that. And he has no good trades here. Just this into the 1/1 Elise, which he probably has to do, otherwise Elise levels up again. Oh, if he does this, Elise is leveling up. Okay, so we're in a really strong position here. And cards like Noxian Fervor, you want to save them to cancel out your opponent's removal. So whenever he uses a Mystic Shot or Thermo Beam, that's when I'll use Noxian Fervor. Just to get a little, to squeeze that little extra value out of your bird. It's really important with this deck. Like, this deck is usually just fast enough to kill your opponent, so you need to get every little bit of value you can. And here I'm just going to Decimate to use up my mana. There's not much advantage in developing the board. The only thing we have to develop is Precious Pet, so we need 1 mana for that. You just put in Decimates when you can. And there's my Precious Pet. And we'll drop this Frenzy Skitterer, the powerhouse of this deck, really. Frenzy Skitterer, absolutely insane, so he can't block with any of his units, and then we can swing in. And if he plays a Fearsome Blocker, we'll hook it with the 2/1. That way it blocks the least amount of damage. So there's the Fearsome Blocker, and we'll hook it like this. This pushes the maximum amount of damage through. And GG. Okay, this time we're up against Lucian Azir. Lucian Azir is actually a deck which is very strong into certain decks in the meta, but it's really weak against things like Aggro. So I'm expecting to do really well here. We'll keep Legion Rearguard. He's a very strong 1-drop ever since his buff to 1 health. Ever since his buff to 2 HP, sorry.
Where's my axe?
He doesn't have Fearsome. So that is a good blocker for Legion Rearguard, but we'll make him block. He could have something like Brightsteel Protectus to get this trade for free. So if he Brightsteel Protectus next turn, hooks this, we lose that unit for nothing. So we're better off taking the trade now. And we'll play this. And I'm going to play the other Fearsome unit as well. Develop as much as we can. Yeah, Azir cannot block us, so we're very happy attacking like this. And this is another deck with no healing, so every bit of damage matters.
Slow down, will you?
And I'm going to drop House Spider here, just because it's got some good blocks. So I'm blocking like this, and I'm blocking here. He could have something like Shaped Stone to trade it, and I don't want to lose my Fearsome. I only want to lose the non-Fearsomes just because they can be chump blocked and less valuable because of that. Okay. And here I'm going to block like this. I'm going to save the Brothers Bond. If he attacked him with a Azir, I would have used the Brothers Bond to kill the Azir and kill this using these two. But instead I'm just going to attack this. Damage to our Nexus doesn't matter. We're the faster deck. And we've got 3 mana, so we don't need to use any. We can just pass. And the reason why I do that is because if we Stalk and Shadows into something like a Doom Beast, we get the Nightfall trigger already. And here we've got Frenzy Skitterer and Stygian. I'm just going to play Frenzy Skitterer. And because we've used a card now, this time I can pass. And if he plays something, it'll get affected by Frenzy Skitterer.
The cliffs themselves
Okay,
are my barracks.
so now we can drop it. And he has no Fearsome blocker again.
is a chill.
There's one fearsome blocker, but it's not that great. And I'm not going to attack him with the 3-1 here. It's just a bad trade into this, and I don't want to have to commit Brother's Bond. I would ideally kill his ear with it. And he lets the damage through, so this is probably game. He could have single combat. But I'm going to go for a Noxian Fervor here while he has as few responses as possible, just because I don't see him burning below this mana. So I'm going to go for the Noxian Fervor. The HP of the unit I use doesn't matter, so I'm going to do it on the least valuable unit. And the reason I'm doing this, sometimes the HP matters. Like if they're PNZ and they've got things like Mystic Shot or Static Shock, you want to do it on the highest HP unit so they can't interrupt your Noxian Fervor. But we're doing it like this, so that because there's only removal with single combat, and yeah, so that's GG. So it doesn't matter what we use it on because it's only removal with single